It appears the government is moving on its position around EV targets.
Auto industry is clearly moving toward electric.
The EV penetration in China surpassed 50%.
California's goal on electric vehicles. The state plans on banning the sale of new gas-only cars by 2035.
The internal combustion engine will be totally a thing of the past by 2035.
All new cars by 2025 will be zero-emission vehicles.
Electric vehicle mandate set to go into effect across New York State in 2035.
Must be electric vehicles. That will rise every year till 2030, when every petrol and diesel car sold will incur a fine.
Electric vehicles, all the rage, very popular here in the Valley.
All passenger vehicles sold by 2030 will be electric.
There are 5 years to go until the government will begin to phase out the sale of new petrol and diesel cars in the UK.
Ever get the feeling we're running in circles with environmental solutions that create more problems than they solve? What if the technologies promoted as our green salvation are actually keeping us trapped in outdated physics? Could there be a higher science, one our ancestors knew, that could truly free us from the energy crisis? If you're ready to look beyond the mainstream narrative, I'll reveal why electric vehicles are marketed as the answer, while plasma physics and higher dimensional energy, the real breakthroughs, remain deliberately sidelined. Recent studies show a troubling reality about electric vehicles that mainstream media won't discuss. Research published in peer-reviewed journals reveals that occupants of electric vehicles are exposed to electromagnetic fields, EMF, at levels that raise serious health concerns. This is the story they don't want you to know, about free energy, suppressed inventors, and why we're being herded toward a very specific future. For over a century, breakthrough energy technologies have been systematically suppressed. From wireless power transmission to modern plasma devices, the pattern is always the same. What you're about to learn connects declassified patents, silenced inventors, and a coordinated effort to keep humanity dependent on centralized power. This isn't conspiracy theory, this is documented history. The truth about electric vehicles starts with electromagnetic radiation exposure. According to a 2022 study in Sensors Journal, passengers in electric vehicles are exposed to electromagnetic fields averaging 30 microtesla during normal operation. Near charging stations, these fields spike to over 100 microtesla. For context, your microwave, which you stand away from, emits 50 to 200 microtesla at close range. The BioInitiative report analyzed over 1,800 peer-reviewed studies on EMF biological effects. The findings are disturbing: cellular damage, DNA breaks, and neurological disruption. The EMF portal at RWTH Aachen University has cataloged over 47,000 scientific publications documenting these effects. The study Complex Electromagnetic Issues Associated with the Use of Electric Vehicles in Urban Transportation, published in PMC, shows that EVs create complex EMF environments affecting not just drivers, but all passengers. These fields don't just disappear, they interact with our bioelectrical systems in ways we're only beginning to understand. So why are we being told EVs are the only green solution? Yet where is the public discourse about this? Why are we rushing toward an all-electric future without addressing these health implications? Before we dive into energy suppression, let's establish the pattern. Throughout history, revolutionary discoveries have been systematically suppressed. 1912, continental drift theory. Alfred Wegener proposed that continents move. The scientific establishment ridiculed him for 50 years until plate tectonics proved him right. 1847, hand-washing in hospitals. Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis discovered hand-washing prevents deaths. His colleagues had him committed to an asylum where he died. 1950s, jumping genes. Barbara McClintock discovered genetic transposition. She was ignored for decades before winning a Nobel Prize at age 81. 1940s, nuclear energy. The Manhattan Project operated in complete secrecy. Entire cities were built without public knowledge. 1989, cold fusion. Ponce and Fleischmann announced room temperature fusion. They were immediately discredited despite over 100 labs replicating their results. Now imagine what they're suppressing about free energy. The most famous case of energy suppression began in 1906. Nikola Tesla was building Wardenclyffe Tower, a device capable of transmitting wireless power anywhere on Earth. His financier J.P. Morgan asked one crucial question: where would we put the meter? According to historical records at PBS, Tesla wrote in Century magazine about tapping the sun's energy with an antenna and described wireless power transmission that would make energy freely available. But what happened? When J.P. Morgan realized this technology couldn't be metered and monetized like traditional power systems, funding was withdrawn. Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower was demolished in 1917, and his most revolutionary work was buried. But Tesla wasn't the only one. Wilhelm Reich discovered what he called orgone energy, a primordial cosmic force that could heal illness and power devices. In 1956, the FDA didn't just shut him down, they burned 6 tons of his books and research, the only book burning in U.S. history ordered by a federal agency. Reich died in federal prison in 1957, his life's work destroyed. What Reich discovered about plasma energy connects directly to what's happening today. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and we find Ken Shoulders, an experimental physicist who spent over 25 years researching what he called exotic vacuum objects, EVOs. According to the Science History Institute archives, his work, conducted in a well-equipped private laboratory between the 1980s and 2010s, demonstrated that tightly packed electron clusters could behave like physical matter in plasma form. Shoulders was granted 5 patents for EVOs between the 1980s and 1990s. He described EVOs as highly organized, micron-sized clusters of electrons having soliton behavior with electron population density on the order of Avogadro's number per cubic centimeter. His research suggested these plasma formations could channel energy from what many call the quantum vacuum or zero-point field. Yet today, how many people have heard of Ken Shoulders or EVOs? Why isn't this technology being developed at scale? Victor Schauberger studied nature's spirals and developed implosion technology, the opposite of explosion. In 1958, American interests brought him to the U.S. According to his son's testimony, he was forced to sign over all patents and research. He returned to Austria broken, saying, "They took everything from me. I don't even own myself." He died 5 days later. While the West pushes electric vehicles and wind farms, there are those who have been quietly developing and implementing true solutions. Dr. Ibrahim Karim, an Egyptian architect and scientist with a PhD from ETH Zurich, has spent over 50 years perfecting what he calls biogeometry. Dr. Karim hasn't just theorized, he's implemented full-scale environmental solutions that work. According to official biogeometry documentation, his installations in Switzerland have successfully harmonized areas plagued by electromagnetic pollution. The Urbanista journal reports, biogeometry has proven to be an indispensable solution to the harmful effect of electromagnetic radiation. The World Health Organization has recognized electrohypersensitivity as a disease, validating what Dr. Karim has been addressing for decades. His work shows that we don't need to eliminate technology. We need to understand how to harmonize it with natural energy patterns. Now, to understand what these inventors discovered, we must understand plasma. Beyond solid, liquid, and gas exists plasma, when electrons break free from atoms, creating a soup of charged particles. 99.9% of the visible universe is plasma. We see it in lightning, the aurora, and every star. But plasma isn't just hot gas, it's a quantum system that responds to consciousness itself. Ancient cultures knew this: Vedic texts, Akasha, the luminous ether, Egyptian mysteries, the first matter, Hermetic traditions, the living fire. Modern quantum physics confirms what ancients intuited. In 2019, something unprecedented happened. The U.S. Navy fought to approve revolutionary patents. Patent US 10144-532b2 describes an inertial mass reduction device using high-frequency electromagnetic fields. The inventor claimed these devices could extract 10 to the power of 25 joules of energy. That's more than humanity has used in its entire history. The Navy's chief technology officer personally vouched for these patents, calling them operable and feasible. But when the research team tried to advance the technology, the Sapphire project attempted to model the sun's atmosphere in a laboratory. What they discovered defied conventional physics. Tungsten transformed into other elements. Radioactive thorium became benign, excess energy production. In 2019, just as they prepared to go public, the project went dark. It re-emerged as a private company with classified research. So, why the suppression? The question isn't whether these technologies exist. The patents, papers, and documented demonstrations prove they do. The question is why they remain suppressed while inferior solutions are promoted. As you could have guessed, it's simple. Follow the money. Every electric vehicle sold represents massive profits for battery manufacturers, continued dependence on centralized power grids, ongoing revenue streams from charging infrastructure, a population exposed to harmful EMF radiation requiring medical intervention, aka more money to big pharma companies. Contrast this with plasma, zero-point energy technologies, decentralized power generation, no fuel costs, no harmful emissions or radiation. No way to meter or control distribution. Beyond economics, there's a deeper game at play. A population dependent on centralized energy systems is a controllable population. Free energy would fundamentally alter power structures that have existed for centuries. So where does this leave us, the seekers of truth ready to embrace higher understanding? First, recognize that the environmental crisis and its solutions are part of a constructed narrative. The real crisis is our disconnection from natural law and higher physics. Second, understand that the solutions already exist. From Dr. Karim's biogeometry to the principles demonstrated by Tesla, Reich, and Shoulders, we have the knowledge needed to create a truly sustainable civilization. Third, begin integrating these understandings into your own life. Question the mainstream narrative around environmental solutions. Research suppressed technologies and scientists. Support those working with higher physics principles. Protect yourself from EMF exposure while we transition to better systems. Share this knowledge with others ready to receive it. We stand at a crossroads. Down one path lies the continued pursuit of limited, harmful technologies dressed up as solutions. Down the other lies the rediscovery and implementation of physics principles that could transform our world. The ancients built magnificent structures without power lines because they understood something we've forgotten or been made to forget. They worked with natural forces rather than against them. They knew that the universe is filled with unlimited energy waiting to be properly accessed. As Dr. Karim has proven with biogeometry, as Ken Shoulders demonstrated with EVOs, as Tesla showed with his radiant energy devices, the solutions are here. The question is, are we ready to embrace them? For those who have found this knowledge, you're not just readers. You're pioneers of a new understanding. The very fact that you're here, questioning the narrative and seeking deeper truth, means you're part of the solution. The plasma age isn't coming. It's already here, waiting for us to remember what we once knew and step into our true technological and spiritual inheritance. As always, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you in our next video.